Hello and welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. I'm Bryce.
I'm Chris,
I'm bald,
and I am beautiful.
and welcome to the 2020s,
2020, the roaring 2020s.
the Roaring 2020s. Yeah, I started it off with the Roaring 2020s. I was at a theme party, and I'm gonna start rocking the vest and the fedora just this whole decade.
I mean, I'm sure. I'm,
Come on, you
I
can get there. Where's the insult? You can do it. You got this.
I mean, let's just say if you were to be visiting San Francisco anytime soon, you'd fit right in. That's all I'm gonna say.
And swing and a miss. Anyway, so what's happened in the last couple of weeks? We've because we didn't do one last week. We were even though we were finally like able to do one together, we just didn't.
Well, I mean,
We had a lot to do. Like I was being dragged around by family and friends, and I don't know what you were doing.
holidays, birthdays, work, not working. Uh, you know, just enjoying the holidays, not necessarily trying to, you know, force something that, and we don't really have a studio to record in, so we would have had to improvise regardless of uh of what was going on. So,
Yeah, I mean, at least we usually when we're by ourselves, we still have like our own mics and our own headphones. So yeah, trying to share one would have been interesting.
but yeah, whatever. And I'm sure like those who do listen were busy as well, so they can always jump into this little recap, uh, all in one, whatever we want to call this. I don't know.
The
Makeup episode almost.
the year closer is basically what it is.
The year closer. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's just get into it. No more delays. We're looking at, so we got to come back to what happened in week 16, which led to week 17, and ultimately closes out the end of the regular season. All right.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see what happened. Yeah.
Happy early birthday to me.
Right. Yeah. So the previous week before this, at the beginning of our 3 week bet, I was ahead of Chris by like 40 something points. And
It wasn't 40 points. You went positive 17 and a half points in week 15. Remember, okay, so let's recap this. This has been a little bit, right? We made a final like 2 week long, like weeks 15 and 16 combined score, similar to like aligning with like fantasy football playoffs, right? Combined score, winner got to make picks for week 17. Loser had to pick the opposite uh no matter what. So really, they didn't get to pick; they just got the opposite of the winner's choice in week 17. You went into week 16 ahead, but had enough of a swing to end up the loser.
you want to know how much of a swing I had?
36 and a half points.
Yeah. Literally,
That's
exactly.
on the
Like,
screen.
yeah. Well, I mean, no, well, the fact that you won by 3.5 points, if you had gotten anything negative, I would have won just based off if my score stayed the same.
Yeah, I would have.
Like,
I scored.
I'm just saying, like any lead I had, I went negative. I took it all away with this week.
Yes, complete turnaround swing, which we discussed this, right? I mean, I think the pressure was on, and that's why, you ultimately choked on those picks, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Although it's, I can't say I necessarily did great, but I did just enough in this particular one
Yep.
to take it home with a positive, like a positive week, upping my positive week numbers. Um, and I think back to like the flip flop, like you win a week, I win a week, back and forth kind of nonsense that we were doing all season. I think
Right.
that aligns with the pattern uh, of uh, of wins and losses as far as from a week to week basis. Uh, but either way, uh, so I got to make picks, which, like you said, could be good, could be bad, right? Pressure's not really on you if you're the loser. You're just along for the ride.
Yep. Cross your fingers, cross your toes, hope for the best.
Cross corks. No, okay.
I mean,
Maybe you should have that one.
whatever you and your significant other do is up to you.
um, never mind. Let's just go to week 17. All right.
So Chris made the picks for this week. I just had to take the opposite. Uh,
Taking
and
down back-to-back wins. Back-to-back
yeah,
wins.
he did well, going a positive 21, hence giving me the negative 21. The first three games though were made you a little nervous.
First, not really. Well, Chicago just irritated me to no end. Chicago had every chance to take this one down,
Yep.
with significant points too, right? Uh, but they let Minnesota come back. Minnesota didn't need a win, couldn't advance in their playoff position. So I don't know. I don't know if Chicago's just that awful at this point, or really could care less about delivering for their fans. That's ultimately what it is. Minnesota didn't care. Minnesota fans don't care if they lose this one because they're in the playoffs no matter what. So they're not hurting their fan base by resting their players.
You definitely don't want to hurt their players.
No, I mean you'd think that, but whatever. Um, but Chicago let off the gas. I don't even know if it was the Minnesota starters. I didn't even watch. I didn't even get a chance to watch that game. But regardless, Chicago covers. Right? They did win by 2. um, but the one that really screwed me was Indy and Jacksonville. Uh, just no reason for Indy to have lost this game at all, or
But
have
to
been
lose it by
behind
18
in this game.
points.
Yeah, or even have been behind in this game. Um, just not even worth it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, neither of them are in the playoffs. Neither of them necessarily need the win. I just went with the superior team altogether, especially with Leonard Fournette being out in that game. I mean, we didn't know that when we made this pick, but um, Leonard Fournette takes ill. He catches like the flu or something like that. Um, Indy has all their tools, right?
Right.
And still managed to just not do anything. I guess it's kind of in true indie fashion, right? Like they they draft Andrew Luck, they almost kill him,
Yeah.
do absolutely nothing.
More multiple years in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, and then show little flashes of hope here or there, and then ultimately, just like every one of your Tinder dates, leave disappointed.
Okay then. Uh, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I can't believe they were favored. I honestly don't. That seems like a mess up to me. But yeah, Pittsburgh didn't. I don't even think they came close to Baltimore. They weren't. I mean, I think a couple times there, like in the beginning, they kept the score kind of tight, but towards the end, Pittsburgh being a second half team, they definitely let up somehow, and like they needed, even if they had won, I don't think it would have mattered because Tennessee needed to lose to Houston for them to go to the playoffs. But they just, I wonder if at one point they heard the score of the Tennessee game and were just like, all right, we can just not.
Could be. I understand them being favored because they announced ahead of time that there were a number of starters that were gonna be playing. Mark Ingram was injured, so he wasn't gonna play. They said that they were going to be resting Lamar Jackson well in advance, which wasn't necessarily a surprise, right? Um, But RG3, when he's not starting, is crazy good. Like he's just not durable enough for an entire season at this point. Uh, but plug and play where you need him, come in for a couple games if somebody's injured, whatever. Like he's still a legit threat. And had he been healthy, if he's healthier and more durable, he's a starter in the NFL. He really is. When he played in Washington for the Redskins, there
Right.
he was good and he was putting up numbers. The problem was is that he kept they he taking too much damage all the time. He just wasn't durable enough to be a starter anymore. Like that's just really what it turned out to be. But he definitely has similar weapons at his disposal as Lamar Jackson. He has the capacity to extend plays with his legs. He has a decent and accurate arm. I was a little surprised by the fact that this was the line that Baltimore wasn't favored. Um, even with that, but I think the way that this played out was, once again, don't need the win. Steelers need the win, um, and just need some other stuff to like play out, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately,
In the end, like this entire season, Pittsburgh hasn't been playing like a AFC championship team. They don't think they go all the way, even if they made it into the playoffs.
no chance. Like yeah, they come in as a wild card. I think they're a one and they would be a one and done depending upon who their matchup is against. Because they would
Yeah.
be what they would have taken Tennessee's spot, right?
Right.
Is what would have happened.
And they're playing Patriots.
They're playing the Patriots in Foxborough. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would not not that the Patriots are playing that great. Like their defense has definitely like been what's winning the you know
Which, seeing how Pittsburgh's offense isn't quite all there,
yeah
that would
that's
be a problem.
yeah they would give them all kinds of fits from there. But anyway, moving on. Tennessee at Houston. This was like a no-brainer pick. Like Tennessee absolutely needed to win. Tennessee definitely has the capacity to beat Houston.
Henry, oh my God, just went all out.
Yeah, he balled out for them and really brought it home. So I don't think I also think Houston dropped the knowing that like with the way that it played out. I don't want to say necessarily that they weren't trying to keep Tennessee out of the playoffs, but knowing that they were already in, they were in no matter what. Um, and I don't think the loss. I'm not sure if the win adjusted where they ended up in the bracket though. Like if they would have had to go play the Patriots if they won. Not to say that anybody would job a game, but plenty of people would job a game. If you know what I'm saying. I don't think I played out that scenario or looked into it. If they do beat Tennessee, if that adjusts where they start, right? Because I feel like them playing Buffalo, which we'll discuss the playoff bracket a little bit further down. I think Buffalo is definitely the better matchup for them to start out, and if they versus like trying to play the Patriots right out the gate. I think that's by far a more difficult game. Um, Whereas like it would be better to put make Tennessee the winner of Tennessee and Patriots there. Um, I think that game takes a toll on that on the winning team regardless. Don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I would say so. I don't know. Either way, I'm actually kind of happy with the way everything played out. I think Tennessee's got a good is got a good team who can if I mean against the Patriots, I think they can do pretty well.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely rooting for the Titans.
Oh yeah.
Just like everyone else in the country except for the Boston, New England area.
uh, sh- shout out to my friend Andy, who's who's a Patriots fan. So let's finish it off. San Francisco and Seattle, they meet again. Seattle didn't need a win. San Francisco didn't need a win.
San Francisco still needed the win, I believe.
Well, they both clinched, I think. Oh no,
Well, no, Seattle had clinched the NFC West, so Seattle doesn't need the win. Doesn't need the win in this one. San Francisco still needs the win. It needed the win in some capacity because that's why I chose them twofold. They needed the win in some capacity. They were never going to overtake the NFC West, so that didn't matter. So I believe it changed up. The win changes up where ultimately they finished, in what spot based on like some of the other NFC teams as they were like with wins and losses, and it determined whether or not they were 4 or 5, 4 or 5, something like that, right?
right. I I don't know. I feel like they still try to keep it close.
They they did, and Seattle was pretty beat up too. So I'm actually really surprised that this game was as close as it was.
You know, the 49ers were leading their division, right?
What's up
For the 49ers were the lead in their division.
in the NFC West?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're 49ers are 13-3 and Seahawks were 11-5.
Yeah, but you have to look at
Oh,
divisional wins.
yeah, well they they beat all the other like top or number 2 in each other division. That's why they were locked in. But then again, so would the 49ers have. I think honestly that came down to was literally was if who was going to be top of the division. Because 49ers, even if they lost that game, would be 12-2 or 12-4. They would still have made it to the wild card spot.
Yeah, no. They're in the wild. No, both of them clinched playoffs. Or both of them had clinched the playoffs. Was this for the? I didn't think this was for the NFC West.
No, they needed the win for the bye week because the 49ers and Packers are going to the bye week. And I think that's what it was because if they didn't, Saints probably would have had it.
The Saints didn't take number 2.
Saints are in there. So looking at the chart that I'm looking at right now, it says that the 49ers and Packers have had the bye week, and Saints and Eagles have were the other 2 division leaders.
All right, well, let's move on. Either way,
yeah, no, the division.
I digress. I win. You lose.
Yes. Hence the brilliantly timed picture of you tried to be sneaky sitting across from me.
It wasn't sneaky.
I just look up and I'm just like, what the heck? Like, really?
Yes, it was a very candid photo of you as the pineapple.
So many looks that day. And some lost luggage.
And some lost. Yeah, that was not fun.
No. 4 hours later, that was not fun.
All right. So, speaking of playoffs, now that Week 17 has concluded, first round of playoffs coming into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, looking at the way that it worked out, you're right. The San Francisco did have number 1, and then overall, whatever. Neither here nor there.
I'm sure that's why they wanted that win. But then again, I think it's because San Francisco beat Saints earlier in the season since they had the same divisional records.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's the way that you were saying that it sounded so weird that San Francisco needed a win. From the way I was hearing it, it made it sound like if San Francisco didn't win that game, they weren't going to playoffs, which is just so. Yeah,
no,
that
wasn't what I was saying.
Made no sense for most reasons, but my main one was like, you can't say that about a team that went 9-0. Like that's so weird to think of a team that goes 9-0 doesn't go to the playoffs. Could you imagine that? Like, did they just lose the rest of the freaking season?
Yeah, if they lose out, they definitely miss the playoffs. Actually, depending upon what division that they're in, because there were some divisions that
divisions that have negative or not negative, but have had losing records and gone to the playoffs.
The Seahawks.
Yep.
At that point, I think I think that they should have, with a losing record, they should have missed the playoffs and let the college national champion team step in instead. But no. I wasn't saying that they're going to miss the playoffs, but yeah, there's plenty of division there. At one point there were definitely divisions where you had to like win 11 or 12 games to be uh, in contention, right, in your division, not necessarily like for the playoffs per se, like, but where you weren't going to win your division with anything less than double digit wins, right?
Right.
So, um, so definitely a 9-0 team that maybe loses a couple, wins one, loses a couple, wins one, ends up with like 11 wins, could potentially be looking at a wild card you know instead of top four finish potentially,
Do you
depending upon.
know? Do you know who Ravens or Chiefs will play versus will they be on the top of that list or the bottom of that list?
Um, I do not. You'll have to look that up. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Well, maybe do a little research. Maybe you can start off with your
I'm gonna
with
start
your.
off with my I'll start off on the. I'm just gonna go left to right. Start off with my picks of a little bit of little column A, little column B. Some hopeful, some just just picks that I think are actual that are definitely gonna win. Titans Patriots. I want the Titans to win. I think this is a long overdue road for the Patriots, having one of the softest divisions in the NFL for many many years running. Not to say that like my team's division, the NFC East, isn't hot garbage right now, but just Patriots have had easy schedules basically like their entire like AFC. AFC. What they're the AFC East, AFC North, AFC East. They're the AFC East, aren't they? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to that shenanigans. Um, Basically, the bye weeks with Miami, Buffalo. I mean, not Buffalo anymore. Like Buffalo right now is actually doing pretty well, but in past years, Buffalo has been basically a non factor, right?
Right.
Um, Throughout, and then they cheat. There's that.
Mhm. No,
So,
just as a, I
oh, and
think
the
I,
Jets. The Jets are the other team in the AFC East. Yeah. So basically, they're basically given 6 buys. If you look at that, it's Patriots, Buffalo, Dolphins, Jets,
well,
and
you
based
mean,
on like
well,
previous years.
I mean, just if you look at the beginning of the season, but then again, the end of the season, Miami decided to play for some reason.
Yeah. I think they just like to mess with the Patriots. But just looking at that, like in years past, like previous seasons, really like those games, they play each of those teams twice, so that's 6 games, right?
Hmm.
That's what, a third of the season, right?
Right.
Ish. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
a little more actually than a third of
Yeah.
the season
Yeah.
are basically wins for them. Easy wins, right? Versus some of the other like divisions that are a little heavy, that are a little heavier, a little more evenly matched. Um, you know, with so listen, the fact that they're having to take the long haul uh, road, I think is good for them. We'll see how they progress, right? Because right now their offense is really not clicking. Their defense is what's keeping them in it ultimately, but either way, I want to see the Titans take them down in this one. I think Titans have the tools. I think if they can get Henry, if they get Henry the ball and give him some space, he's not going to necessarily, he's not catching anything out of the backfield really. That's not this type of style running back that he is. But if they can get Henry the ball consistently with good production, I think they give themselves a chance. If they have to play from behind, I don't think the Titans take this one, but I would like to see the Titans.
If I'm looking at this graph properly, the winner of the Tennessee Patriots game goes to play the Chiefs,
That sounds right. I
and
was
then
saying,
that means Bills and Texans go to play the Ravens. And on the opposite side, the Vikings and Saints game will result again, 49ers game, and it's therefore Eagles and Seahawks will the winner that will go to Packers.
ugh, it seems like a pretty easy road for the Packers, doesn't it?
No, Seahawks can put up a fight. I mean, they did beat the 49ers, for the 49ers first loss.
That's true, but I think there's some health issues on that side. Anyway, we can get over to the NFC side in a second. All right, so where are you at, Titans Patriots?
I'm not even gonna say Patriots are gonna win. I'm gonna go root all Titans all day and hope for the good juju.
All right, kick us
And
off. Buffalo at Houston.
um, I'm going Buffalo, especially if they hear that Patriots are winning. I swear they want to get there just to take them on. Buffalo's a fierce team. Even you said so at the beginning of the season, and look where they are now. Houston definitely has the defensive power and the offensive power to win, but I think Buffalo has a little more dedication.
They're in Houston, right, for this game? Yeah, yeah, they are. Right.
Yeah.
Um,
You would think we'd do our research.
nah, this is all like
Yeah.
off the cuff. This is real.
Yeah, I think again I'm
Yeah,
looking from what I'm looking at. It looks like it's a Houston home game, Patriots home game, Saints home game, and Eagles home game.
yeah. So
Which how the
Buffalo
hell
in
did the Eagles get
Houston.
a home game?
It doesn't matter. Um, uh, yeah, I just I don't know. I think this is a closer matchup than most people think. But I'm looking at like just kind of like comparing weapon. Like you can compare apples to apples, right? Quarterback versus quarterback, receivers versus receivers, running backs versus running backs, defense versus defense, like that kind of stuff. I think everything kind of lines up with Houston at home. Deshaun Watson's just a more dynamic quarterback. Not to say that Josh Allen can't uh, can't take it down um, and really produce as he has shown from time to time. I'm just looking at like the receivers. He doesn't have a receiver that's over like 6'1", right? Going
Mm-hmm.
up against a pretty solid Houston secondary. Um, I don't see him being able. I don't see him throwing the deep ball, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Like that's one thing with Houston. Houston likes to take big chunks of the field at a time, right? Um, I think Buffalo is going to have to do a lot of quick, quick plays. Make sure to get the ball out of Josh Allen's hands um, in a short period of time. Just take up. I mean, really, just kind of grind the clock, really, and take up small chunks, complete lots of passes. I think it's really gonna come down to um, how many completions that Buffalo can make, right? I think the run game is going to be relatively even. I think both of them can stop the run. I don't think that's really necessarily going to make or break it. I like the duo. Actually, I think the duo. I think the duos are pretty even, don't you? With Singletary and Gore versus Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson.
Yeah, I think it evens out. It just depends on their I want to say their matchups for the cornerbacks.
Yeah, and I think that's where Houston wins it, right? Because Houston has the deep threats, has multiple deep threats, has DeAndre Hopkins as a deep threat, has Kenny Stills as a deep threat. Um, who's the other one? There's one more in Houston too. That's good. That's good over the middle all day. And I can't. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
I couldn't tell you.
Either way, I just look at like the deep threat. I think is what makes the difference. I think that Buffalo has a solid receiving core, but since they don't have any sort of burners. Um, Not being able to take up big chunks of the field when it's needed. Um, you know, that's really where I think the game can be can be broken wide open, right? If Houston brings it deep balls, really gets ahead, makes Buffalo play from behind, and I think they have every capacity to do that.
Well, let's go over to the NFC side. I think we're both saying Seahawks. Is that even a is that you can debate me on that?
It's basically a bye week. It's basically a bye week for the Seahawks. I don't think that even at home, I don't think the Eagles are going to be competitive in this one. The Seahawks are playing the best of the worst in the NFC, basically. Um, I think the Cowboys match up better against the Seahawks. I still don't think the Cowboys win that game, much to my disappointment. I would have loved to have seen the Cowboys make the playoffs and make a go of it. They definitely have the talent and they're a healthy team. Um, Eagles have been way too inconsistent, and I think they still have too many offensive injuries uh, in order to really beat this team and compete, right?
What about Saints and Vikings?
This one's interesting. It's a real interesting matchup. It's in a dome, so that doesn't matter. Like, so all things being equal, the only thing on this one is that the Vikings have to travel. Um, I'm gonna go Saints, not because I don't think that the Vikings can compete. I'm going Saints because of Drew Brees, right? Like, so once again, like kind of breaking it down, apples to apples. I think they both have the similar receiving options, right? I think the Saints have a few more options to open it up because with the Vikings you have Diggs and Thielen, and then that's about it. I mean, yeah, you can say Kyle Rudolph
Yeah, I was gonna
as a
say.
tight end option, and their
Well,
running backs.
Is Cook out?
I don't know. I didn't see.
Yeah, because Cook's a good force to be reckoned with if he's playing.
He is, and he can catch some passes out of the backfield too. So I think that's pretty even. But if I'm looking at like okay, like looking at you have Michael Thomas, who I think is the top receiver at this point in the NFL, right? You have Jared Cook, the tight end, who's huge, great red zone option. Also, like good pass catcher in space. From there, you have Alvin Kamara. Um, and then ultimately, I think it comes down. So, like they said, look at it like we're talking similar name, similar like as far as talent when we say names and numbers that they're putting up and their capacity to make plays, right? So then you break it down to okay, their defenses. You could probably go either way. Who has the better? Either one could have a better week, right? Their defenses are probably pretty in line. So where does that leave us? That leaves us at Drew Brees
Mm-hmm.
versus
Cousins if he's playing.
Cousins. Cousins should be playing, right?
Yeah, he didn't play last game, so I just am not sure.
They could have been resting him in that particular case, but I think like who's going to mitigate mistakes ultimately? Who are you going to trust in big games? I go Drew Brees.
Yeah,
That's all you got. Just yeah.
yeah, that's all I got.
um, but yeah, no. Looking at this bracket though, like I think the Packers have uh, the easiest road here. I think the AFC like is still pretty tough no matter who comes out of where, right? Um, path through KC is hard. Path through Baltimore is hard, but I think I would like to see a KC Titans matchup in that particular case. Um,
Oh yeah, for week 2. I don't know. I think I'd be most excited to see a. Oh no, because wait, I'm blanking on the NFC side. Who's gonna play who? Yeah, I would have been cool to see Vikings and Packers go for the NFC title, but just because it's same division and a lot of history, I feel like that would be a better game. But and on the other side, a Buffalo Patriots matchup, which I can't imagine happening at all, would have been a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, I think looking at like how this plays out, I'm more excited about the AFC side of things. Like I think there's a lot more interesting matchups and a lot more fun to be had on that side. I think, yeah, I think that the NFC, like if depending upon how things shake out, because you're looking at, I mean, you say Green Bay and the Seahawks is still like that's not an easy game for anybody. But that Seahawks have to go into Green Bay and take out Green Bay versus Niners at home. But the Niners have shown that there's chinks in their armor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, I really think no matter what though, like as far as if I'm not necessarily making bold predictions by any means, I think Baltimore overall is the team to beat. If I'm looking at the whole black playoff picture, um, I definitely think Baltimore is the team to beat in this one, and it's ultimately their Super Bowl to lose. I think that no matter who they go up against, I think they take the AFC side of things. Um, Even if we go into like a Chiefs Baltimore, let's say like Chiefs Baltimore, right? Um, I think the Chiefs ultimately, like, regardless if they play the Titans or the Patriots, rough game, right? Rough game to get to the AFC Championship. Not to say that Baltimore wouldn't have a rough game against Houston or Buffalo. Um, I just think that they're better equipped to handle those teams without really like having to like you know have a hard nosed slobber knocker of a game. You know what I mean? Whereas I think that the Chiefs have fallen into that kind of pattern of difficult difficult games. It's just more of a battle of wills instead of a battle of skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Let's well, we got our picks in. Let's wrap this up.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We gotta. We'll continue to do some shows throughout the playoffs as we figure out. Also figure out what we want to do for future content in between. Well, the off season. Anybody who's listening, if you have any suggestions, comment, email us, send me a birthday card, whatever.
Just him. I don't want birthday cards. Wait. Unless they're filled with cash.
Alms for the poor.
Yes.
All right. So until next time, this is the Bald and the Beardiful. Find us on Facebook. Smash that like button. Hit the
Maybe soon
notification
enough on
bell.
Instagram.
What?
Maybe soon enough on Instagram.
Exchangegram on the line? Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe. That probably. Yeah, we probably should.
that's on you.
On me. Why am I
I
the
did.
social media master?
I did Facebook. What do you mean? What have you done?
All
Uploaded
the
it.
things.
All the
All the
things.
things. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. Notification bell. Playoffs.
Playoffs.
Later.
Later.